Hi, everybody. I am Courtney Edmond, and I'm here again tonight with In It Together Parenting to talk with you about a concept and a reality of a familiar term that we use a lot called motivation. And in our neurodivergent kids, I like to differentiate between motivation and activation. And the reason that I like to differentiate is because there are so many times when our kids actually do have the motivation to do something. But what gets in the way is their inability to take action. And I call that activation. And that's part and parcel why it is important to see our kids as having the motivation, because they do want to do well. They are having a hard time. And many times they are having a hard time taking action. And for kids who have ADHD and executive function challenges, a big part of that has to do with the dopamine circuit. And so it's not a factor of motivation, it's a brain based factor of figuring out how to get some dopamine so that they can take action. And what gives us dopamine and the way our brain uses dopamine, produces dopamine, is different in kids who have ADHD. And that impacts their ability to take action. So that is an important distinction that I believe helps us see our kids through a different lens of having a hard time taking action. And it informs the way that we approach scaffolding them so that we see them as having a hard time taking action, and we have to figure out with them, again, getting back to that compassionate curiosity, what's going to help you take action. And we have a worksheet that we can provide an example of that talks about a lot of the activators for people with ADHD and can show how you can use it towards achieving a goal that you or your child might have. So a lot of the activators for people with ADHD involve urgency, right? Waiting till the last minute and then they'll stay up all night and get it done. Not the best plan, not the best activator, but it's a reality. It's a real one for them. Movement. So a lot of times you'll see people talking and maybe they're writing a paper by moving around, or maybe they're paying attention in class because they get to walk, or maybe they're having a conversation with you at home and they're moving around. That activates their brain and helps them stay focused. The fidgets, right? Those are activators also. So um, other people is another one that is an activator. So body doubling is an example of activating, or sometimes people will be more likely to clean their room if they have another person with them. If you're not familiar with the concept of body doubling, it means that you can get something finished or you can get started on something much more easily when another person is around. It's an example of homework groups. It's an example of sometimes people just need another person to be on a computer screen with them while they're doing their work, and have people check in with them. So urgency, movement, other people, novelty. So when we can keep, a lot of times our our ADHD kiddos will start to do something because it piques their interest. Um, and because all of a sudden there's something new to explore, right? Like squirrel, there's something new, something novel being interested. There's a new incentive chart and it lasts for about a week because the novelty grabs their attention, but then the novelty fades and it no longer grabs their attention. Or they're interested in a new hobby for about a week, and then they're not interested in it anymore. And so you have like piles of different interests from different hobbies that your child has been interested in because it's novel, but then when the novelty wears off, they don't take action with it anymore. And then high interest is another activator, something that they're really interested in. They will always be able to take action on. If it's not interesting to them, it's really hard for them to take action on. So there are music is another good one. A lot of times, different music will help people pay attention um, and take action on something. So yeah, so there are, but different people have different activators, and so we provide this example of how you might think about what your activators are, to give you some examples, and then we also have in there the derailers, which are things that have a tendency to grab your attention and hijack your ability to do what is needed. So we give this example so that we can show you how you can brainstorm what your activators are and then think about how you can use your activators to help you achieve a goal. And then the same thing can be true of brainstorming your derailers, because they're the ones that are going to take your activation away and not allow you to move towards your goal, and how you can manage those derailers, be aware of those derailers so that they don't derail you from achieving the goal. So we hope that this is helpful, that it will help you understand your child's inability to take action and give you some tools and ideas for how to support them in conversation to help them think about what does help them take action. What will help them work with their brain, work with the things that they prefer, things that help them stay focused, things that help them take action, and find ways to make it work, because we do have to do some things in life that we aren't always excited about, but we can find ways to do other things in order to do what we need to do. And this brings up actually another important point about rewards. A lot of times, our kids won't do something for the reward because they don't have that activation energy. They can't think into the future. It's now or not now. So into the future reward is not activating. Getting something that they want now that supports them taking action, that gives them the dopamine now, will help them take action, right? So sometimes they need to be front-ended with a reward in order to take action. And I say, like, an opportunity to, I want to go play with my friends for 20 minutes online before I clean my room. It's not unusual, right? That's probably a bad example because we don't really want them to get into their hyper focus, which would be a derailer. But playing a game with you, a board game with you, spending time with a person might be helpful to get that activation energy up, to get that dopamine flowing, and then you can go clean your room, or then you can go do your homework, or dancing, going for a run, riding a bike, doing some kind of movement or exercise gets that dopamine going, and then you can go to do your homework or clean your room or do your chores or write your paper, whatever it might be. So I hope that was a helpful way to reframe why sometimes rewards don't work when they are given afterwards, rather than front ending something that helps give them that dopamine to help them take action. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope that you have fun with your child figuring out what their activators are and becoming aware of what the derailers are. Let me know how it goes.